Hello, and welcome to the first episode of our Success Breeds Success webinar. This is a webinar to showcase mortgage brokers, and we'll be showcasing some of the best in the business with this series. We have some of the top brokers and businesses in loan market, and we'd like to share their stories to help you to grow your business. We'll hear about their successes, obviously, but we'll also hear about some of the challenges that they've faced, some of the moments of sheer uncertainty and how they've overcome them, and some of the failures they've had along the way, because all of those are important in terms of sharing their stories, and it's made a big difference to the growth of their business. Each episode will unpack valuable lessons in innovation, creativity, leadership, teamwork, and overcoming challenges of all kinds. Before we get started, I'd just like to encourage you to use the chat section or the Q&A section to ask any questions you may have. The more you interact, the more you'll get out of the session. So please feel free to add whatever you'd like. If you're joining us on LinkedIn, please use the comment section to ask your questions. Today, we're here with Nitish Kumar. Nitish is the Director of Loan Market Canberra. Welcome, Nitish, and thank you for your willingness to share your story with us on this beautiful Monday night.
Thanks for having me, Kate. Looking forward to it.
So just a bit of background on Nitish. He started Loan Market Canberra in August 2019, so seems awfully recent. He's built a really dynamic mortgage broking business and currently has a team of 4 brokers and 5 support staff, some of whom are onshore, some are offshore. Loan Market Canberra places a really strong emphasis on customer satisfaction, and this is really evident in the many positive Google reviews. I think in that video, Nitish, I think you said 150, but by my count these days, that's now up to 223. Is that correct?
Yeah, that video is about 5 months old, so yeah, it's gone up since then.
Yeah, amazing. That is a huge result. The average feedback score 9.8, and your NPS is plus 97. So the industry average, just for reference, is about plus 53. The team specialties are residential, first-time buyers, refinancing and investment loans, but also you're now doing asset finance as well. And just as a guide, Loan Market Canberra has more than doubled in the past 2 years, settling 175 million last year compared to 77.75, to be precise, in 2020. So how have you done that? That's the number one question. How are you doing this?
The growth, obviously, we've been very focused on growth from the start. So we had a pretty big goal that we wanted to hit in 10 years, and we had a plan on how to get there with the support of Loan Market. So the biggest thing's been bringing on the right people into the team, and we'll talk about that a bit more, obviously, a bit later. But I think the team that we've got has allowed us to grow, right people in the right seats.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely imperative. But in terms of the growth of the business, a big part of that is the leads that you're getting, and some of that is the Google reviews, obviously, and we'll talk about that. But 1,056 leads you got last year. Almost 30% of those came from Ray White Canberra, and the relationship that you've got there. And you also work with 60 other referral partners. Can you talk about how you generate leads? What's your game plan? What are your goals in terms of how many leads you want to generate and how?
As we bring on more brokers, obviously we want to generate as many leads as possible. One of the biggest things we focused on is we find with brokers, we bring on a referral partner, we get busy with our own existing clients, and then they look after that referral partner that well. So we focused on making sure we always have trainee brokers in the team who are going out on their own within a period of time, and then they can take over those referral partnerships. So I've been very conscious to build referral partnership with Loan Market Canberra, not me as an individual. So it means that other people in the business can look after those leads, and we've sort of got a service agreement that we have with all our referral partners on how quickly we'll service their leads. I guess that's been the biggest difference in our lead numbers growing, is that we've been providing a very high level of service, not just to our clients, but to our referral partners as well.
So can we just talk for a second around that service agreement? So you lay out to your referral partners, whether they be a real estate agent or a financial planner or whoever they are, okay, this is how quickly we're going to get in touch with your customers. This is how we're going to look after them. Do you also put in there how you're going to communicate back to that referral partner and what they can expect from you?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously the first point of contact is the most important. So we talk to them about how quickly we will get in touch with them. And the reason that's worked really well for us is because we haven't been protective about a broker being protective about their relationship with an agent. The relationship is with the business, not the broker. So any broker will call the lead so we can get through the leads as quickly as possible. But we do have a communication plan that we use with all our referral partners so they know where their leads are up to, because there's nothing worse than a seller waiting to find out where their finance is up to because the broker hasn't kept them updated. And we do that with agents who are not our referral partners as well, because we want to make sure that everyone in the transaction is up to date with everything.
Yeah, that's right. And I think one of the keys to your success from watching you is that not only do you have that service agreement, but you actually deliver on what you promise. And that's a real focus for you, for your customers, but also for your referral partners, that you're not letting them down. Like you said, so many brokers do promise, and then they get too busy with their current clients and don't manage to keep up that level of service.
I think they just don't need the leads anymore. That's what happens,
Yeah.
right? So it's not that they're intentionally not communicating back.
No.
They just don't need new business. So they focus on existing clients, and that referral partner is wondering why they haven't heard from the broker they've been referring to for the last 2 years.
Yeah. Can you talk to me about how you've built your team? You mentioned how important it is to have the right people in the right seats. How have you done that? I know you've recruited not the traditional way all the time. So talk to us about that.
I learned very early on in the business that I wasn't good at interviewing people. So when we put an ad on Seek, I really struggled to, I guess, ask the right questions on determining the right candidate. So sort of changed the way we did it. I made recruitment my number one focus, but we just started recruiting by referrals. So every person in our business has been referred to us by someone, by one. And either cold call them to ask them if they want to change industries, or they've been referred to me and I've just sent them a text message to catch up for a coffee. And some of them have taken, a month to come across. Some of them have taken up to 12 months to come across, but we've been very focused on finding people who we believe provide a really good level of service in their industry, and then teaching them broking rather than trying to find established brokers or trying to find someone off Seek or LinkedIn, which just hasn't worked for me as a business owner. I didn't have the skill set to ask the right questions when I started the business. So I was just not recruiting well at the start.
And does that apply to your support team as well, or are you finding them in other ways, or from experienced people?
It does apply to our support team. I know all of our support team. Offshore is an exception because we use loan market services for offshore. Onshore, yes, same rules apply, that we want to ideally find people we know who we think are going to be great human beings in our business, and then we'll teach them the rest of it.
How long does it take you to teach them?
It varies. I've got brokers who have gone out. Jared, for example, he was only in my team for 3 or 4 months. I've had brokers take up to 9 to 12 months. I think it's got to be right for the person, because they've got to feel comfortable going out on their own to see clients. Last thing we want to do is put someone in a position where they're not comfortable seeing their own client. So somewhere between 4 to 12 months, I guess, depending on the person.
Right. Yeah, can you describe a time where you might have faced a challenge and how did you overcome that in your career, whether that be within your business now or previously?
Probably now, like when I started the business, I was a broker before I started the business. I had one PA. I've never had to worry about leadership or management or culture. It was looked after by the business I worked at. One of the biggest challenges at the start was 12 months in, we were running a Kaizen session with Loan Market on improving some of our processes. And one of the feedback was we actually had a pretty bad culture at the time. I wasn't celebrating wins in the business enough. I was already moved on to the next month before this month had already finished, and we might have had our best month ever, but I just moved on to the next goal. And I think I neglected staff at the time quite a bit because I was used to being a broker and a PA relationship. So I made a decision at the time that I needed to change the way I looked at the business, and I needed to step away from being a broker at times and be a business owner and lead differently, and actually have to actively think about things like culture and how important it is to look after our staff. So I think culture is probably one of our biggest strengths now. That's what brings people into the office. We've just recruited a $70 million broker on the back of our culture, and I had one to leave where she was. So yeah, it's a big plus now, but I think I really struggled with it for the first 12 months or 18 months. I think me as a broker is very different to me as a business owner, and I just had to separate the two, because as a broker, I'm a salesperson, I'm quite selfish and it's all about me. As a business owner, it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, and you're also a very driven, ambitious person. So you want to. I can understand why you say you would have keeping wanting to move on to the next month, but I would absolutely agree with you. The culture you have in your office, having spent some time with your team, is really phenomenal. You must be very proud of that if that's something that you weren't doing well before.
Yeah, extremely. I think we can, again, like bring the right people in has made a lot of difference to the culture.
Yeah. And how do you stay motivated and keep your team motivated and inspired to achieve your goals and to keep growing? Because, I mean, you have achieved such a lot in such a short period of time and you've grown a great business. How do you keep motivated to push for the next thing?
Bit of it comes naturally. We will have our best year this year ever because we had 2 trainee brokers last year who are seeing their own clients. So naturally, we're growing from that point of view. So we'll have, we'll come close to doubling our settlements again this year. I think this is hard, staying motivated for everyone. We don't get it right all the time. The biggest thing for us is, as a business and personally, focus on the big picture. Quite obviously, I've shared my target of wanting to do $1 billion a year. We're very focused on that. Like, obviously we've gone through a down market for the last 6 to 12 months. It is just a period in time. It will pass and it'll be okay. We'll go back to a strong market at some point. So we're very focused on focusing on what, next 10 years looks like. I've made all of the team write down what their life looks like in 10 years time. And then we're working backwards from there on their goals in 5 and 3 years time. I think most people way overestimate what they can get done in 12 months and way underestimate what they can do in 5 to 10 years. So we're very focused on the long picture rather than worrying about right now. And the second thing with goals is, as you know, I've got a 6-year-old daughter who's absolutely obsessed with Frozen. And there's a song in Frozen which talks about just doing the next right thing. And we talk about that all the time in the business. Like, just do whatever the next best thing is right now for today to keep moving the dial. And sometimes, for me anyways, and some of the team, the next best thing is actually to go home and just rest. You don't have to go hard all the time. It's okay to take some time off and just recharge and then come back. But those 2 things, like, we've got a long-term vision where we want to be at, and then we focus on what is the next thing we can do to keep moving towards that vision.
Yeah, and that brings up a good question, actually, because I know you have 2 young children and your lovely wife, Emily, works with you in the business also. How do you get that work-life balance? How do you manage that with growing your business and being so focused on your goals and making sure that you've got time for your family?
I learned something recently. I think it takes something to make it work right. It actually takes a lot of effort to do it, and you just got to make that effort to actually do it. Well, I'm probably in the best place I've been work-life balance-wise in my career. So I'm working sort of 9 days a fortnight, doing school drop-off where I can in the morning. I don't work 12-hour days anymore. I think the reality is, when you start in the industry, there's a period of time where you have to put the hard yards in, and there's going to be some long nights if you want to hit your goals and you have big goals. The biggest thing you can do with work-life balance is be clear about what your goals are. There's nothing better than a broker telling me they want to do $40 million a year and work 4 days a week. And we know where we're aiming for, right? But there's also nothing worse than a broker telling me they want to do $80 million a year, but then not want to put the hours in, because that just doesn't line up. So with that work-life balance, you just got to know, I guess, what it is you're trying to achieve, what kind of hours they're going to need. So I've dropped my personal loan volumes to meet the work-life balance I want to meet. But that the other thing with work-life balance is definitely getting some very solid processes in place that allow me to be away from the business and not be in it all the time. So, and that goes for all of our brokers. They all are able to step away from the office and their business is still run. It's
did that come
really
from the
focused on it.
Kaizen? Sorry, did that come from the Kaizen session you did? Was that part of what that was about?
Look, when I did the Kaizen session, the business wasn't in a great place. We had a team of 2 people. I wasn't ready to lead a business, I don't think, at the time. So no, it didn't. What did come from Kaizen is continuous improvement. We are trying to continuously improve our processes. I'd love to do another one at some point in time. But I think at the time, what it made me realize is we need to shift to a business rather than the business being all about me. So that's what Kaizen did do for me.
Right. So this might be a bit of a rude question, but how much of what you have achieved so far has been down to skill and how much through luck, like being in the right place at the right time?
A fair bit of it's been luck. I think anyone in broking last couple of years have, we didn't have a lot of skill involved with what happened to the market in the last 2 years, right? So we've obviously grown a lot on the back of that. But we've been in the right place at the right time a lot. My business partner who owns Ray White Canberra, a car off Sam. He thought Sam would be a great broker. I literally called out in Canberra and asked Sam if he wanted to change industries, right? So those things have happened because we were in the right place at the right time. Sam brought Jared into the business because he loved working here, so he wanted to bring his best mate along. And obviously, Jared's numbers are there for everyone to see. He's going to write 50 million in his first year. So I think right place, right time has helped. I'm not sure there's a lot of skill involved. What we have done though is we've been committed to learning. So I haven't been good at recruitment, like I shared at the start. I've made a little effort to become good at recruitment. Culture is another thing I've been really focused on. So yeah, a bit of both, bit of luck, bit of learning, commitment to learn.
Yeah, that is, you definitely do have a commitment to learning and getting better at what you do. So in terms of the marketing that you do, can you talk to me about how we talked about your leads before? You did get 1,000 leads a year, but can you talk to me about what you're doing to generate that from a marketing perspective for your business?
Pretty much everything and anything Loan Market told me to do. So I catch up with Ange Tracy, who's our head of marketing, and whatever Ange tells me I should do, I do. But some of the things we do is obviously have a strong relationship with real estate agents, not just Ray White, other agencies. So we do explore that quite a bit. But Facebook, we've been using the Loan Market Facebook Amplify. That's been getting our brand out there. So 200,000 times a month is being looked at. Google Ads, we've started using. SEO stuff. We do have something at Open Homes with every agent that we work with, so we use that quite a bit. But and we've run different things at different times, but they're probably the main ones we run consistently. We do a lot of the Loan Market Facebook ads, pretty much 10 months out of the year. Yeah,
and a lot of those you do with video as well. Can you talk to me about why? Because that's a fairly recent change for you. Why are you doing that?
It's probably gone the other way. So I started doing video at the start of COVID because I just thought that people were just really worried about where home loans were at and what was happening with the market. And I started with a video for the landlords of Ray White Canberra, and me and Ben did a video to tell them a few things about what was happening with the market, and we just got a good response on that. So I just did a heap of videos for a period of time, and they worked well on Amplify. It's getting, as the team grows, it gets harder to do videos. It's trying to line up brokers. It's just borderline impossible. So we try to do the animated videos that Facebook have now, but we have got a YouTube channel with all our videos that we still send to clients when needed.
Yeah, and I really like some of the personal stories. I know Jared and Sam, I've seen their videos on my Facebook feed. You know, and hearing more about them as people, I think is actually a really powerful tool for growing your brand awareness and people feeling warmly towards your business. I think they're great. Next question, how much time do you spend on your business, you know, managing that business versus in your business broking now? Because I know that you mentioned earlier that that's changed a little bit. You've stepped back a little bit from time to time.
It's a work in progress. Because I'm a broker and have been for a while, I think it's easy for me to slot back into that role because I'm reasonably good at it. I reckon I'm 75-25 at the moment. So 75% in the business, 25 on the business. I do still write 100 mil. So I still have a lot of clients that I'm dealing with. I would like to get it to 50-50 in the next 12 months. But it's a work in progress. I think 12 months ago, that was only 90-10. But as the team grows, they need more time. So obviously I'm conscious of that. So yeah, 75-25 at the moment.
And does it change when you bring a new person into the business? Do they follow you for a while, or are they?
Depends on what role they come into. So if they're coming into the admin team, I'm going to be no value to them realistically. So I let Jess and Emily train them and look after that part of it. If they're a broker, then generally speaking, they'll come into my team for 6 months, and then I'm working under me as a credit analyst, and then they'll go out. So we've used that quite effectively in the last 2 years to grow brokers.
I know one of the things a lot of brokers ask us is when to put on a new person. Do you have any tips for people on when they should look at that? It sounds to me a little bit like you've done it organically. You know, you meet someone, you bring them in because you actually think they're a good person, you just happen to come across them. what do you have any tips on how they might decide, yeah, now's a good time, I really need someone? Because sometimes we leave it too long, sometimes we do it too early and there's not enough work for them. So it's a real challenge.
I don't think I've ever been financially in a position that I should bring someone on when I have. We've always brought them on before we were ready to do it, because we're so focused on bringing on good human beings, right people for the business, someone who's going to look after their client. I don't want to lose someone that I think is going to be an asset to the business. But it does vary between admin and sales. So my view on admin, bringing on admin people, is I try to get a feel from my admin team on what their work capacity is. If they're sitting at 7 to 8 a few months in a row, we need to bring on a new person. Because my personal belief is when someone's workload is 7 to 8, that's generally their best work. They're feeling a little bit of pressure, but they're not able to work. But if they're sitting at 9 or 10 month in, month out, they're not producing their best work and they're getting quite stressed out by then. So ideally, I want to bring on a new admin person when we get to 7, 8, but a few months in a row, right? It can't be just 1 month, 2 or 3 months in a row. For brokers, I think it again depends if they're new to industry or established. If established broker, if you can bring them on, you just bring them on, right? Because they'll find their own business, they know what they're doing. If it's new to industry, find the right person, bring them on. So one thing I did write down was, if you wait until you need someone, you put an ad out on Seek, and there's nothing wrong with Seek, but you're recruiting from a very limited resource that people looking at jobs at that point in time are going to be applying for the job. It's purely blind luck if you find someone good, right? Because good people are generally not looking for jobs very often because they're pretty happy where they are and they're getting looked after. So I'm huge on poaching. So I'll approach someone if I think they're going to be good in our business. But I sort of work off a 2-year recruitment plan. I have a list of people that I want to recruit in the next 2 years, and whenever they're ready, we'll bring them on generally.
Yeah. And that leads me to the customer service side of things, because obviously you need the people to provide that level of customer service. What tips have you got for people? And Dominique actually has also asked this in the chat. Thanks, Dominique. What's the most important tip you've got in terms of providing that excellent customer service to be able to get those 223 5-star Google reviews?
Consistency. It's all about consistency, right? So we're consistent in everything we do. So I don't think our brokerage does anything different to what the other 18,000 brokers do. We just do it more consistently. So if a client uses us once, 10 times in 3 years, they're going to get the same service every single time, right? So that's a message that we hammer to our brokers, that if I'm going to give them one of my clients, because I don't want to take on new clients, they're going to provide that consistent level of service. So one of the ways we do that is by having a very good admin team, taking away some of the work from the brokers, because I've been a broker with one PA and I understand logistically it's not possible to get back to clients as quickly as you would like because you're in appointments for a lot of your days. So we pass on some of that client communication to our admin team, so the client's getting up to date. If you have a look at our last 50 plus reviews, every single one of them will mention our admin team in there, because they are the ones who control our business and make it run smoothly. And the reason we can offer consistency to our clients is because of the admin team, not the brokers.
Yeah. I think that's right. And the process is, so if say they're dealing with you or with Sam or with Jared or with one of the admin people, is the process all mapped out and that's the same for everybody, so that they're dealing
Absolutely.
with customer in the same way?
They've all worked in my team ideally, so they sort of know how I do it, and then they follow the same. Obviously, they all put their own touches to it, which I have no issues with. Like if they were trying to explain a loan structure to a client the same way I do it, they're going to find it difficult. So they've got to still work out what works for them, what doesn't. But the level of service should be consistent. We have sort of timeframes for, once you see the client, how quickly we expect the application to go out to the client and things like that. That'd just be nice to clients, like just make it easy for them to do business with you, right? So sometimes we just make it hard for the client to want to do business with us. So we're just very focused on, we don't get it right all the time. Obviously, there is one-star review, so I'm sure we get it wrong occasionally, but we just want to try to make it easy for our clients to do business with us.
Yeah. So I've got a few questions from the Q&A that I'll just quickly ask you. So one was, who are the main referral partners? I know whether they're accountants or real estate agents. I know obviously other than Ray White Canberra that you have a relationship with that's very strong. Can you tell us about the other 70% of your business, who your referral partners are?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the good things I find about broking is everyone's good at something. I'm good at working with real estate agents. I'm terrible at working with accountants. I just don't think I'd want to go for a beer with an accountant, whereas I love going for beers with real estate agents, right? So I struggle with building a relationship with accountants, but I'm very good at real estate agents. So do we pay them a referral fee? I think that's one of the second part of the question.
Yeah.
Look, we do to some agents, we don't to others. So I think it depends on the agent and where I feel is going to get us the business. So if I feel as though a referral fee is going to help, then I will. But obviously, at the same time, if I can avoid it, I would avoid it.
Yeah. Next question is, how have you found being Loan Market branded for your business, and are there any territory restrictions on that? How do you feel about that?
I'll just share, I guess, from my experience. I was a very immature 29-year-old when I joined Loan Market as a business owner. I've become a good business leader because of Loan Market and the support that's been provided to me. So it's been a game changer for me. How do I stand out being a Loan Market branded broker? I think Canberra's God's country. I focus on Canberra and I let the other Loan Market owners have outside of Canberra. So we've rebranded Loan Market Canberra recently. The territory thing hasn't had a big impact on my business. I don't think it makes a difference what brand you are. Personally, I wanted Canberra because we have long-term vision on where we want to be. We also have multiple offices now, so it was very hard to have one location based. So that's why we went with Canberra. Are there any territory restrictions? No, there isn't. Even though if we're Loan Market Canberra, there are other Loan Market businesses within Canberra who do a really good job. And I speak to Craig all the time, who's the other Loan Market broker. So no, there's no territory restrictions.
Mm-hmm. Another question is, what are the main issues, problems new brokers face in your business?
A couple of things. Obviously, generating business is the hard one. So, you have to be able to find your own business, and that's quite hard if you're not from the industry. That's probably the biggest one, because if you don't have business, then you can't learn product knowledge, because if you're not getting deals day in, day out, it's very hard to learn which banks to place the deals at. But one of the advantages that my brokers have is they get to sit in on 100 deals with me before they go out on their own. They've seen 100 different scenarios, right? So I think get the deals, then you work out which deals works at which banks, and that's the first thing. Second issue I found, and I was lucky that I worked for a big brokerage, so I didn't face the same issues. Very hard to get a hold of BDMs when you're a sole broker to workshop deals and stuff, right? So I worked in a big business when I started as a broker before I opened Loan Market, and that opened doors to BDMs for me, which made it easier to learn policies. So I genuinely believe there's only two parts to our job: prospecting and then policy knowledge. So they're the two big issues.
Right. Thank you. Next question. Why do you think someone should start with Loan Market as a loan writer or business owner to start with? I'm guessing that means as a new to industry, why should they work with Loan Market?
If you're new to industry, I don't know if we do new to industry, but start with Loan Market as a loan writer or a business owner. Look, should you start as a loan writer or a business owner with Loan Market? It depends on what you're after, right? So if you want to be with an aggregator with lower fees, which is completely okay, and you don't need a lot of support regarding where your growth plans are, because you just want to be by yourself, right? 20 or 30 mil, we're probably not the right aggregators for that anyways, right? But if you want to grow a big business, you want to have marketing support, you want to have recruitment support. So when I didn't know how to recruit, Tim McKenzie from Loan Market would go through the resumes for me and only send me the good ones. So I didn't have to call everyone and check the resumes. So like recruitment support, like I didn't know how to put an ad up and seek. So Tim did it for me, right? So recruitment support, marketing support, leadership support. I pretty much will run, I'll call Michael, who's our state director, probably once a week, or text him to use him as my sounding board. So if you want to grow a big business, you want the support, then we're the right people for that. But if you want to run a sole business, and there's nothing wrong with that. There was a period of time when I just thought it was easier to be by myself and not have a team. I'm not sure that we would offer the same. Biggest thing with Loan Market is you get what you lean in on, right? So if you lean in on marketing, you lean on recruitment, lean in on leadership, you'll get a lot in return. But if you want to work by yourself, then you obviously don't get a lot of. Well, it's hard for us to know what you want.
Yeah. That's very true. Next question, you're very successful in writing big volumes. How do you manage compliance at the same time as doing that, plus managing your staff as well and all that sort of stuff? How are you managing that?
We actually have one of the highest compliance rates in loan markets, so pretty well is how we manage compliance. But big the way we manage it is we have an amazing admin team who make sure that we're compliant, right? So one of the things we're very focused on as a business is that if a broker is not compliant, it actually risks everyone in the business's job, not just theirs. So we have our internal so loan market do an audit on our files every 12 months or every 6 months, I think it is. But we do audits on our brokers' files every month, right? We pick 5 files at random and we make sure that we're doing well with that. So how do we manage it? Having a good admin team, that's probably the answer for me on that one, to keep it simple.
Yep. Another question from Rob. With current RBA rate rises, has your business currently slowed or declined? Are you experiencing refinancing, repricing inquiries from existing and new clients, or is it just from existing clients at the moment?
We're definitely doing a lot of repricing. On average, we're saving about $50,000 a month for existing clients at the moment, so that's been good. That includes some new clients as well. Has the business slowed? No, it hasn't. As much as I'd like to say that that's a reflection on our market, our business doing well. It's a reflection that we have a lot of time is spent on trainee brokers who are just hitting their strides now, right? So our business is actually going to be 50% up this year. That's nothing to do with the market. That's the reality is that we spent a lot of time and resources in the last 12 months on building our people up, and now they're just smashing it out of the park.
Fantastic. You also mentioned, again from Rob, that you're doing asset equipment finance. Is this for business customers with ABN for business purposes?
So we don't actually do any asset. We do primarily residential. What we do is we work with loan market asset finance. And one of the things I love about being with loan market is I don't have to do things I'm not good at. Doing asset is something I'm not good at. So we refer our clients to loan market asset finance, who then look after our client. And loan market asset finance don't do any residential, so there's no conflict of interest between the two parties.
And how's that working for you?
Pretty good. Like it's something we haven't rolled out completely, so we've just sent a couple here or there, but we are doing a marketing campaign with them in the next 6 weeks, I think.
Yep. And another question, how are you tracking leads?
Depends on where it comes from. Yeah, we do. It depends on where it comes from. It is a bit hard to track because of the different sources we have, but the biggest one for us is real estate agents in terms of the number of leads. So 300 odd leads from real estate agents. I think it's actually a little bit higher than that, but we use MyCRM to track leads. So what MyCRM allows us to do, which is our CRM software, is add each individual referral partner as a lead, so each agent as a lead source. And when we enter the client data in, it allows us to select them as the lead source. And also, one of the reasons I've been so good at communicating to the agents is because MyCRM also lets me send an email to them directly from MyCRM to give them an update on their clients. So MyCRM is what we use for 90% of our lead tracking. The 10% that we don't use it for is things like Google reviews, where someone calls the office. We're obviously doing that manually at the moment.
Okay. And final question, how do you initially approach a real estate agent? I know we talked about your service agreement initially, but earlier, but when you're initially speaking to them, how do you approach them and what do you offer them?
Look, the easiest way I find is if I'm dealing with an agent that I don't have a referral partnership with, and they're buying. So I've tried to find a mutual place, right? So my clients do buy properties of other agents who are not road-wide. So we make sure that we provide a great level of service to that client, that mutual client we've got. And then generally at the end, once that transaction's finished, I'll just ask them if they have a mortgage broker that they're working with. And if they say no, then I'll ask them for a coffee. If they say yes, I'll generally flow the conversation on how's that working out. Is there anything we can do to help with? If you've got any difficult clients that you can't get done, then come give me a call. But most of it's been client buys a property off ABC Real Estate. We have a great interaction during the process. Then I'll try to catch up with a coffee or a beer after that. And that's how I've worked with Ray White as well. So it's been one-on-one relationships that's helped.
Yeah. Final question. What's the biggest mistake you see people make as a mortgage broker, whether they're starting out or established? What do you see and you just think, what are they doing that for?
I don't know, it's a hard one. I think spending time on stuff that's not dollar productive. That's probably one thing I'm talking to my brokers about all the time, which is hard at the start of your career. I understand that, but that's where you got to lean into your aggregator. Like Loan Market have an option for a part-time offshore person, which is costing you bugger all, but it frees up your time to write more loans. So doing stuff that is not dollar productive is not going to help you grow, right? So work out what it is that is dollar productive and just do that. And very good chance that you're actually not good at the admin side of the business anyways. So why would you bother doing it? So yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks so much, Nitish. Again, Monday night, 6:30. I'm sure there's dinner on the table for you. So thank you very much for joining us, and thanks to everyone for tuning in. Fantastic session. Keep an eye out for our next Success Breeds Success session. I'm sure you'll find it on LinkedIn or wherever you have found this particular webinar, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thanks, Nitish.
Thanks, Kate. Have a good night.